ever so much for coming and joining with us this afternoon. And really what we want to give is kind of a shortened title to this presentation. I want you to imagine it as innovation driven by community, because that's really what we're going to be looking at today. And we hope that when you go away, you'll go away with some ideas that you can take back to your schools, share with your colleagues, implement them, because you've been inspired here today. As it's been already wonderfully introduced, I'm Paul Watkins. I've been told by Kellie, I've got to say everyone calls me Lanny, because she'll call me Lanny, and you'll be thinking, who's she talking about? But the only person who doesn't call me Lanny is my mother. But yeah, so I'm a teacher from South Wales, and I have the pleasure of presenting with...
Yeah, and I'm Kellie Goodall. I'm a primary teacher at Broughton Primary School in North Wales.
I remember when I was doing my PGCE, and the deputy head took me to one side, and he gave me a piece of advice that stuck with me, and every single student teacher that's come through the door since, I've passed this advice on to them. Surround yourself with those who bring out the best in you. We are proud to be Microsoft Innovative Educator Experts, as well as members of other communities of like-minded educators, Skype Master Teachers, and Global Student Voice Ambassadors with Flipgrid. And we have found ourselves within a global community of teachers who share practice, who support each other, who inspire each other. And we have seen huge impact across the world with some projects that take place. Now, we've got a primary school teacher and we've got a secondary school teacher. And what we actually find is they don't work well together. You very rarely see these two groups of teachers working together. And it's quite sad, because actually we build barriers between ourselves. And Isaac Newton had this wonderful quote, "We build too many walls and not enough bridges." And over the last few years, I've had my eyes opened working with primary school teachers, and it's changed my classroom practice, it's changed my views, and changed my opinions. And actually, what I've noticed is that some of the things are out of sync on here. So, we're going to move on quickly. All the best stories, how do they begin? With what words?
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time. We are so fortunate in Wales to have a platform that's been created for all schools, 100,000 teachers, nearly 500,000 students, all have access to Office 365, to Flipgrid, to J2E, to Google Education, all of those tools available to them. And an event is put on every year by Welsh Government where teachers come together from across the country and share practice that's going on. And we had a project that we started in our school using Flipgrid on a parents' evening, an open evening where Year 6 pupils came in. A Year 6 pupil made a comment to me and said, our parents have these evenings to come to where they get to ask questions about what's going to happen to us when we start here. But we have no one to talk to about our worries and our concerns. So using Flipgrid, we set up a transition project. Pupils were able to send questions from the primary school to a grid, and we'll hear a little bit more about that later. And pupils from my classroom gave up their lunch times to come in and answer the questions. We didn't vet any of them, we didn't script any of them, we told them to speak honestly. And parents commented about how at ease they were knowing that there were people who were coming to, who were going to look out for their children. They had peers there who were waiting for them to support them when they came through the door. Well, at this event, I don't want to be telling people by myself about this project and the impact that it has in our school. I took two of my pupils to do it. And they stood in this room with teachers from across Wales and school leaders, and they were amazing. And they stood there and they spoke so eloquently about the project and the impact it was having. But if we pan this picture out, you'll notice someone standing on the left-hand side.
And that was me. So on the next slide, you can see a picture that I actually posted on Twitter, because I was standing there listening to Lanny's pupils. They spoke clearly, they spoke confidently, they were clearly empowered by the voice that he'd given them. So I went back to school. Now at Broughton Primary School, pupil voice is at the heart of everything that we do. It's at the core of the curriculum. It drives the curriculum, and it truly does. So we started our new topic in our class, and I asked my children, we're going to learn about war. What do you want to learn? What do you want to do? How do you want to learn? And one of them said, can we speak to somebody who's been in World War II? I was thinking, right, okay, that's a big ask. And my 9 popped into my head. 9 is Welsh for Nan, Grandma. She's 88 years old. She was 9 years old when World War II happened, so she's the same age as the children in my class. Due to medical conditions and things, there's no way that I could have got her to school. It's a 40-minute drive, and she hasn't got the confidence anyway to come and speak to children. So I thought, how can I make this happen? How can I make this happen? So we used Flipgrid. So we set up a grid, and the children left questions for 9 all about World War II. Asked her everything, loads of things. And then off I went to 9's house at the weekend, took my computer, opened up Flipgrid, and there you go. She listened to every single question they had to say. Then she answered them all and shared some of her stories. I can't even explain to you how powerful that was. If you can see on the next slide here, there's my class listening. She told them about how prisoners of war lived opposite her farm and would come and work on her farm. She told them how she used to make them cups of tea and sit and have a little chat with them. And they were completely blown over by this. Like, how on earth can you be sitting with prisoners of war that are from Germany and from Italy, and you're sitting there making cups of tea with them? Her story was so powerful. She taught them more than I gave. That learning experience more than I could have ever given them. They were taught about global empathy, made them realise that actually we're all human beings and we're all part of that same worldwide community. And that is something that those learners will remember forever. And my 9 will remember forever, because she got to use a computer and do something that was cutting edge. And there she is, very proudly holding her Flipgrid t-shirt that Flipgrid sent to us. So she's still got that, and we have to get it out every time I do a visit.
Said you right at the start that what we're looking at is innovation driven by community. 2 teachers living at opposite ends of the country who were at an event where one teacher shared and another teacher saw an opportunity, working in different phases of how that technology could help in the classroom and impact teaching and learning. But the story didn't finish there, and we were honestly quite blown away by what happened next. Every year, Microsoft Education bring 200 to 300 teachers from across the world together to a location to look at driving innovation in schools, to share practice, and to take them back home. And we weren't there, but we watched on the live stream because it's such an amazing event. And Flipgrid stood up, and Flipgrid shared this story that we've just shared with you. 200 to 300 teachers in the room heard what Kellie did with her pupils and how her pupils were impacted by that, because Kellie was impacted by what my pupils had shared with her. See, that's what community is. And sadly, I don't think teachers share enough with each other. Sometimes teachers get upset because they may have shared something with someone, and then sadly they've passed it off as their own work and take credit for it. And I'm a firm believer in that if you've been inspired by another educator, give credit to that educator for the inspiration that they've given you in what you are doing, because it really, really does help to grow a community. And this is the quote we've got, isn't it? The most valuable resource that all teachers have is each other. Sometimes you're alone in your school with no one who gets it, no one understands it, no one gets your passion, no one sees your direction, and you can be demotivated and you lose that drive. Find that community of like-minded educators where they get it and they encourage each other and you support each other and you take it from there. But we've got 2 tools that we absolutely love, haven't we, Kellie?
2 of our favourites, yeah. So you've probably seen these icons before. Skype, as you know, you can video call anybody in the world. We've got Skype in the Classroom, which is a community where you can connect with other educators and other agencies to facilitate these video calls. And then Flipgrid, which we've touched on. We're going to give you some more examples of that in a second. But basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Flipgrid, at its most basic, is a place where you can facilitate video discussions with your pupils, and also a lot more, which we'll go on to in a second.
I mean, these tools really, really do open the world to your classroom. If you ask my pupils now, how many walls does our classroom have, they will tell you our class doesn't have any walls at all, because technology has opened up a world of learning to us. But more than that, as we've seen, it helps us to make connections across the world, and the value that there is to that. Through Flipgrid, Kellie's been able to share questions. Through Skype in the classroom, classrooms have been connected with each other, friendships have been made, virtual field trips have been taken, guest speakers connected with who add a value of wealth to the work that's going on in the classroom. And they're free. What teacher would not want these tools to be used in their classroom? See, we all want our pupils to do well, but if they're going to do well in life, they need a voice. That voice is going to unlock the future. And one of my favourite films, Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society, strive to find your own voice, because the longer you wait to begin, the less likely you are to find it at all. We have found that through using these tools, the quiet pupils use their voice in the classroom and become confident learners. The quiet ones who sit at the back, who are disengaged, are now re-engaged and are sitting at the front with their hands up, wanting to ask questions, wanting to offer suggestions. Is that not what we want with our pupils? Now, I said that I want you to leave inspired with some ideas that you can take away with you. And that's what we're just going to do now. We're going to go with ideas from across the world that you can implement in your classrooms and your schools today. 4 years ago, my school opened. It was an amalgamation of 4 other schools. And I loved Skype in the classroom because I knew the impact that it had on my pupils. So I decided to start a little project. Skype Club. Lunchtimes on Wednesdays, after school on Wednesdays, open door. Anyone can come into the classroom, anyone can get involved. We played Mystery Skype, which is a yes-no game, working out where people are in the world, and talking to each other and making friends. We went on virtual field trips. In 4 years, my pupils have travelled over 900,000 virtual miles, and it hasn't cost us a penny. 900,000 virtual miles. And coming into Skype Club, you can see I love this picture. It's a little bit grainy, and I know people like high-res, but I love it because they Skyped with an elephant sanctuary. And at the end of the call, I have to point it out, this little girl here, when they all moved away from the screen, she stood there with her hand on it, smoothing the elephant's trunk. As far as she was concerned, she was touching that elephant. The experience was real to her, and it will stay with her for the rest of her life. A lot of the children in this club, they don't venture far from home. My school's in an area of high deprivation. Kids are being inspired by the connections that they're making with people from across the world, with what they want to do with their lives. Just by sharing on social media, I've been so encouraged by seeing Skype clubs now starting up in other schools, not just in the UK, but across the world. It's just using education.skype.com to make those valuable connections and invite teachers in to join in the fun, and they soon will start asking, how can I use this in my lessons? How many of you are fans of Kahoot? A few hands have gone up. We love Kahoot. The moment you get that game up and the music starts playing, the kids know what's going on. There's a wonderful teacher, Steve Oslander, from out in the USA, who had an idea. Let's start the Skype Kahoot World Cup. And when it started 3 years ago, there were 10 classes from across the world who got involved in it. Every single year, he's run the Skype Kahoot World Cup, where he will create a grid on pop culture. A quiz on pop culture on Kahoot. This year, it ran for 2 days, and we had 35 different countries involved in it. And playing in team mode over those 2 days, there were 845 teams involved in it. And then other countries of the world were saying, we want to start our own, and we want to do this, and I can use this like this, and I can get involved in using Skype and Kahoot this way. idea that was planted is growing and growing and growing, and more getting involved. And what's happening? These kids are realizing that even though there's someone on the other side of the world, they've got the same interests, the same hobbies, they like the same things as me, they dislike the same things as me. That's the power of making these global connections.
And the third example, Christmas card exchange. This has been going for many, many years. This is an educator from America called Kyle, and it started off doing what it says on the tin, exchanging Christmas cards. So a Skype call with different countries, having a chat about Christmas traditions in that country, about sharing maybe Christmas songs, and then making a card and exchanging it. Really, really simple idea, but really, really effective. And going back to what you said, it's about creating that global community. It's about making friends as well across the globe.
And so easy to implement.
This is a teacher from Sweden, fantastic teacher, and what a fantastic quote. Having all these friends in all these countries, it's going to be harder for this generation to start a war. I think that's really true. And if we can use these tools to help engage children, help them give these learning opportunities, as you said, break down the walls, then this is a good place to start. So Grid Pals. Grid Pals is Flipgrid. I suppose it's... Do you remember Pen Pals back in the day? It's kind of like the new Pen Pals. It's a one-stop shop, really, to go and find other educators to connect with. So via Grid Pals, you can literally just search a map of the world and find educators in different countries, click on them, learn a little bit about them, and decide whether you want to connect with them, and then obviously connect your classes. So via Grid Pals, we've recently, in our school, we've had a big push on health and well-being. So I actually found somebody who did a lot of mindfulness with her class in America. So I contacted her, and her class left lots of Flipgrids for us, teaching my class about strategies for mindfulness, and then we gave them a go back in Wales. Again, just really simple. Just go to a map and find an educator.
And you think about it now, if you connect with another class in the world and you start making those friendships, imagine that kid who comes to school on his birthday and no one at home that morning has even acknowledged that it's their birthday. Imagine how that child feels coming to school. But imagine if you've made pals through Grid Pals with another school, and they come in the morning, and there's a video of children from across the world singing happy birthday to them, waiting for them. Imagine how that child is going to feel. And something like that is possible through Grid Pals. Last year I had the pleasure to present with a wonderful educator from New Jersey, Kathy Koznowski, and this is her baby. Why should learning just be restricted to the physical classroom? So taking Flipgrid, she set a challenge, a list of tasks that you'd have to create or you'd have to complete. And going out with devices, with Flipgrid installed in it or access to the internet, they would go through recording the evidence of each of the things that they've done. It could be solving a puzzle, it could be finding something, it could be actually answering a question. So easy to put in place, making learning fun, but yet keeping its relevance and also accessible, making these pupils in there. Now this is something that I'm really excited about because we've seen the impact that it's been having.
Yeah, so Flipgrid AR, fairly new. I think it is quite fairly new, isn't it, really? This example here that you can see, this was discovered by Dr. Charlie Miller, who actually founded Flipgrid. He went to his daughter's parents' evening, and when he went, discovered there's a picture of her with her Flipgrid AR code, and when he scanned it, up popped a video of her talking about her work. So, again, another really something that's quite quick, but very powerful to have sitting there. Lanny actually told me about this. It's all down to you again. And I thought, how can I use this in my classroom? Because this is good. This is interesting. This is different. This can bring walls alive. This can bring displays alive. It can bring work alive. So in science, we were looking at the organs of the body. So my children researched different organs, made some notes, and then they recorded their findings via a video on Flipgrid. And then, as you can see there, they stuck the QR codes on. If you were to scan that now with your Flipgrid app, up would pop their videos telling you all about that particular organ. So just a different way of presenting work, much more powerful. And I've got children in my class that maybe if I'd asked them to write that down, they wouldn't have told me all the information that they have told me via Flipgrid there. So just a different way of presenting your work and making it more lively, more interesting and more engaging for the children.
And great on parents' evenings. Parents can come in with their phone and they can, while they're waiting, they can scan the QR codes and they can actually hear their children talking about their work. Children never go home and talk about work. I've got 3 daughters. It's like getting blood out of a stone trying to get them talking about school at times. But they can hear their children talking passionately about the work that they do. John A., who's one of the Flipgrid education engagement team, says a wonderful quote: if you can Flipgrid it, you can think it. And just like we've touched on with Skype in the classroom and how you can access all the wonderful guest speakers and the virtual field trips, Flipgrid is just like a ball of clay, and this list keeps growing. And you can see it's not just in the classroom, it's right the way through university, how staff are using it, but then also how it's being used with a community. Teachers across the world are sharing on social media the things that they are doing and inspiring other teachers to engage, to place these into their classroom. But we want to share some other outstanding projects that we've come across through social media that's going on to inspire you with free tools that are accessible to you. I think I pronounced it right, Baglan Grange School. Some people may follow John Tate on Twitter, or at Team Tate. Saw this on social media and I thought it was absolutely amazing, especially when you've got a high percentage of parents who aren't first language English. When they were coming in for parents' evening using the free Microsoft Translator app, teachers and parents were able to interact and engage with each other. Through a mobile phone being placed on a desk, subtitles were coming up real time. What a powerful tool, yet so simple. And think about how that could be used in other areas of school life. Now, this is one that absolutely inspires me like you wouldn't believe. A number of years ago, I visited Darren Park School, as I refer to it, a diamond in the Welsh Valleys. And these pupils taught me that Minecraft is not just a game. They helped me to realize the educational value that there is within it when it's used the right way in the classroom. How many of you have got digital leaders in your school? Yeah? The digital leaders in this school are just mind-blowing because they're entrepreneurs as well. They've gone from just being digital leaders and going to conferences and presenting what they do in Minecraft. These kids have actually gone out into over 50 schools, I think it is, and trained teachers on how to use Minecraft in the classroom. And do you know the best thing about it? They're charging them. These kids are charging schools to go in and deliver the training. And it's inspiring so many schools across the world, the work that's going on in a small little school in the Welsh Valleys.
This one's probably my favourite, the Sway Digital Life Stories. This is from an educator called Lis Whitmarsh, who's actually just relocated to go and teach in Australia. And basically what he did is connect his pupils with older people who were suffering with dementia. And they got together and they shared their life stories. And from that, the pupils then created a sway. And in that sway, it was basically a digital life story, a digital timeline. So these people that were suffering with dementia, at any time, as long as they had internet access, could look back through this sway. And it was full of photos, soundtracks, music, videos of their life. I mean, it's a shame we haven't got the time to show one today because they are so moving. And if you do get the chance to Google Sway Digital Life Stories, you'll find Lee's website because it's absolutely phenomenal, isn't it, what he's done for these people who are suffering with dementia. Also, he found it was really useful when they had a new carer, because the carer could then take that sway and learn a little bit about that person's life and have something in common with them to share.
And when he presented it to a group of us, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was one of the most amazing presentations I've ever seen. Why are we so passionate about student voice? Why do we use tools that help people to find their voice and encourage them to use it? Basically, Barack Obama summarized it perfectly with this quote. A student needs to realize that their voice can change a room, it can change a school, it can change the town they live in, and it can change the world. We need our pupils to realise the potential that is within them and never ever be afraid to speak up and share their ideas and share their thoughts and support each other, whether they're in the same classroom or further afield. Innovation is driven by community. Are you a member of a community? There's 3 communities here that I'm so proud to be part of. The Microsoft Innovative Educator community, the Skype Master Teacher community, and the Student Voice Global Ambassador community. Why don't you go online today and start your journey to becoming those things? There's 3 websites there that you can access freely. You can find courses that will help you to get there. It will talk about the application process. And I say the word community, but when you're part of it, you actually find that you're actually part of a family. That's where you are. You are part of a family. And if you're on social media, I cannot highly recommend these highly enough. These are the accounts and the hashtags that I would recommend you following to pick up on some outstanding practices and some of the ones that we've talked about today.
Finally, just really quickly, tweet meets. If you've never took part in a tweet meet, again, I highly recommend you join in. Get started with the conversation, whether it's just watching what people are saying and getting ideas and hearing what other educators are doing out there, or joining in, giving your opinion and sharing the fantastic work that you're doing. Going back to what we were saying about, as teachers, sometimes we build walls and we're quite insular in what we're doing in our schools. And actually, we need to take the time to go and share our ideas, and tweet meets are a great place to share your ideas and grab others as well.
Some of these things may scare you. And in closing, I'm just going to tell you this. Every single day you tell your pupils to step out of their comfort zone and do something brave, do something that they've never ever done before. As teachers, we need to do the same thing. We need to step out of the comfort zone that we are in and try something new. Do you know what? You may get it wrong the first time. Our pupils do, but that's learning. Our pupils will benefit from it ultimately in the end when we as educators join communities of like-minded educators and step out and do something new in the classroom. And this is why. We want our pupils to realise the power that's in their voice. It only takes one voice at the right pitch to start an avalanche. Do you want your pupils to be the ones in the future that are that avalanche?
And finally, if you want to get in touch with any of us, carry on the conversation, ask a question, anything, get in touch with us via Twitter. There's our Twitter handles. We will answer absolutely any questions you've got. If you want somebody, if you're thinking, you know what, I'd love to start, I'd love to try a Skype call, never done it before, and you just want a friendly face to do a Skype call with, our classes, our children would love to join in, so get in touch.
Come and find us in the Microsoft area if you want to start that journey today into joining those communities with the activities that we've got there, or just come and talk to us about what we do. But thank you ever so much for coming and for listening to us.